Welcome to Strictly Speaking. I'm Bimbo, OLOYEDE. I'm really pleased to welcome Mrs. Ope Wemi-Jones to Strictly Speaking today. She's been in the corporate sector for a couple of decades, but she's also made the transition now into customer service. Ope, welcome to Strictly Speaking.
Thank you for having me.
You know, I was thinking before we came on set, I was thinking about the difference between hospitality and customer service. Because as Africans, we're supposed to be, and I think we are, hospitable, warm, friendly people. But do we understand what service is all about? Customer service in particular.
Interestingly, I'm working on something that says that customer service, first of all, is African. But what we've seen lately is that we've jettisoned, the basics of the African culture that we all grew up with in the name of embracing the Western world and their ideas. So I would say that customer service, for the purpose of having a working definition, is meeting and exceeding the intellectual and emotional needs of customers and then adding value. So service really is the task aspect of everything that we do. When you move it to being hospitable, I will say it's the next level. And that's what we today commonly also describe as the customer experience, where you're now able to connect with customers emotionally, doing that little extra, which is what makes the difference. So for instance, if you check in a hotel, by the time they ask you for, they check that you've actually made your payment and all that, the next thing is to check you in. But if you're happy to meet a concierge who asks about your trip, your drive to the hotel, that's taking it a step further. That for me is, being hospitable. That for me is bringing in the customer experience, which is what the customer really remembers.
The thing is, though, whether it's corporate communications or customer service, it all involves language.
Absolutely.
It all involves speech. And these are skills that need to be learned and developed.
I agree with you totally. Like I will say that nobody is born into a customer service family like people are born into royal families. So really, for you to be good at anything you do and for you to be a master hack at delivering good service, it's never a bad idea to sit and learn how to do it. Yes. So there's a place for self-development. There's a place for learning. And if people then understand that service is not something you earn a degree in and you never use, then I think the approach to it will differ and will be much better. So service is what happens all of the time. Every day you wake up, from calling somebody, from getting into your car, from entering the supermarket to get things, from filling your car with fuel in the gas station, everything is service. Every time people depend on you for one thing or the other, you're providing service. So if people come to realize that service is actually a way of life, then I think it will help, in their approach to it.
And when you talk about service in this way, we're still coming back to language.
Absolutely.
We're coming back to concise messages.
Yeah.
What do you think are the challenges in terms of language in getting out these concise messages? Because it determines the bottom line for companies.
Absolutely. So I think, there's a common saying that everyone communicates, but few connect. And the truth is, people are not persuaded by what you say, according to John Maxwell, but by what they understand from what you've said. So I think the first thing we all need to consciously do is to move from just communicating to connecting. And when you do that, you would be very conscious about reducing the barriers to effective communication. So some of the common barriers is language. And language, these days, you have different versions of it. Someone says dope, someone says lit, someone says mad. If you go and check the Cambridge Dictionary, it doesn't mean anything, that it's being used to represent today. So you find out that the standards in terms of what we say and what it means is very different. And that alone can cause a breakdown in effective communication. Maybe for the new standard emerging, when you're speaking to a category of people, they understand whatever it is that you say. So if I say dope to a millennial or a Gen Z, they know that it means school, it means lit. But if you say to someone, it's illegal drugs.
Absolutely.
So it's important that you match your communication at this point, I will say, to the audience that you're engaging with. Another one is also the culture. There's cultural difference even within Nigeria. So you must be able to integrate that into your communication in a corporate environment and when you're speaking with your customers, basically.
There is something that I would like to find out from you. It is one thing to say the right thing, but it is another thing for the customer to feel that the right thing has been said, because, well, they say the customer is always right. So how do you ensure that a customer feels right?
Okay, so I will still take it back to communication. Customers can always tell when you're genuine and when you're not. So for me, I will say the first thing is when you're using words, be genuine, be sincere, because people can feel what you're saying. And we also realize that what people hear is not the words you speak, because your words are just 70% of what you say. We put your communication over 100%. The bulk of what you say is expressed in your body language. So if I can't feel the thank you in your body language, then you're not saying anything.
Right. Okay. Well, do you have any suggestions as to how we can move the conversation forward, how we can move people's attitudes and language forward, especially within the corporate sector?
For me, over the years, and even when you come into the entrepreneurial space, what you find out is you never speak above your customer. So today we're talking about deterioration in English, in the use of English language. If when you bring it to the local dialects, it's the same thing. So even though English is an official language, it's a business language, you have situations where you need to speak your local language to be able to connect with the customer, even within the corporate setting. There are instances when a handshake will not do the job for you. You've got to go on your knees. So your ability to know what is appropriate for every situation helps you to communicate effectively.
You've really given us quite a lot to think about. I love the idea of communicating not being complete until you have connected.
Yeah.
Ope, thank you so much for joining me on the program. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Same here. Thank you so much for having me.